They came to conquer Earth. Earth had other plans, HFY. The screaming started before the first shot was fired. Admiral Vexitar watched Earth's primitive missiles streak toward his battle group like angry insects, their chemical exhaust trails painting desperate lines across the void. His 3 Dominion dreadnoughts, each a 5-kilometer monument to galactic supremacy, hung motionless above the blue marble, letting the pathetic weapons detonate harmlessly against their shields. "Status report, Mirren," he rumbled, his crystalline carapace shifting from deep amber to satisfied gold. Commander Mirren's tentacles danced across her console. 47 missile launches detected, Admiral, all intercepted. Their largest warhead registered 12 megatons, barely enough to scratch our hull plating. Vexitar's mandibles clicked in amusement. 12 megatons. His point defense systems were rated for gigaton impacts. These humans were attacking starships with firecrackers. Communication intercepts? Chaos, sir. 7 different languages screaming surrender offers. Their United Nations can't even agree on who speaks for the planet. Mirren's voice carried the dismissive tone reserved for inferior species. Classic pre-unification fragmentation. The admirals studied the tactical display with predatory satisfaction. In 43 conquests across the Orion Arm, this pattern never failed. Arrive, demonstrate superiority, accept inevitable surrender, begin resource extraction. Earth's abundant water and rare minerals would fuel Dominion expansion for centuries. "Something troubling you, sir?" Mirren noticed his pause. Vexitar gestured toward the outer system readings. "Those construction signatures near their gas giant. Analysis confirms massive industrial activity, but the technology readings are inconsistent." "Probably strip mining operations," Mirren suggested. "Primitive species often exhaust their home world before achieving true spaceflight. Crude but predictable." The explanation satisfied protocol, but Vexitar's combat instincts, honed through 4 decades of warfare, whispered warnings. Something felt wrong about this conquest. Too easy, too convenient. "Sir," called sensor operator Thresh, "the humans are attempting to establish communication. On screen." Earth's image flickered to static-filled chaos. Dozens of voices babbled in alien tongues, while military signals crackled through interference. No unified response, no coordinated defense. Typical for a fractured civilization facing extinction. "Attention, inhabitants of the 3rd planet," Vexitar began. His words automatically translated into local languages. "I am Admiral Vexitar of the Stellar Dominion. Your world has been selected for integration into our empire. You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender unconditionally. Resistance equals annihilation." The response was everything Doctrine predicted: panic, confusion, desperate bargaining. World leaders screamed contradictory demands, while their militaries scrambled uselessly. Mass evacuations clogged transportation networks as civilians fled cities that would soon become demonstration craters. "Move to bombardment position," Vexitar ordered. "Prepare to target their primary population center. 1 plasma strike should clarify their situation." His flagship and escorts began their descent, hulls gleaming like falling suns in Earth's atmosphere. The admiral savored these moments, when primitives finally understood the vast gulf between their pathetic technology and true civilization. But as proximity alarms began their ominous wail, Vexitar realized that Earth had been teaching him lessons he was unprepared to learn. Contact. Multiple massive signatures emerging from lunar shadow. The words hit Admiral Vexitar's bridge like physical blows. His crystalline skin shifted to the pale blue of shock as the main display revealed shapes that violated everything he thought he knew about human capabilities. 3 leviathans emerged from behind Earth's moon, dark angular monsters stretching 15 kilometers from bow to stern. Their hulls bristled with weapon systems that made his instruments scream warnings, and their energy signatures registered power levels that shouldn't exist for a primitive species. "Impossible," he whispered. The lead vessel bore human markings. UES*, Retribution*. The other two flanked it in perfect formation, Vengeance and Reckoning, their weapons already cycling to combat readiness. "How did we miss them?" Vexitar demanded. Commander Myron's tentacles trembled over her console. "Sir, they were using the lunar gravitational field as camouflage. Our sensors couldn't penetrate the interference pattern." A new voice filled the bridge, speaking flawless Dominion standard. "Admiral Vexitar, this is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Defense Force. You are trespassing in Sol system territory. Withdraw immediately." The sheer audacity stole his breath. A primitive human was issuing ultimatums to a Dominion flag officer. Vexitar's combat instincts flared to life. No insult to imperial dignity could stand unanswered. "Human vessel, I am Admiral Vexitar of the Stellar Dominion. Stand down immediately. Your primitive technology cannot match true military power." Captain Vasquez's response was immediate and chilling. "Admiral, you have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal maneuvers. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war." "The arrogance," Mirren breathed. 3 ships against our entire battle group." Vexitar studied his tactical display. Every algorithm confirmed Dominion superiority. These humans might have built impressive ships, but they couldn't possibly match weapons refined through millennia of galactic warfare. "All vessels, target the human flagship. Full plasma bombardment, show them the price of defying the Dominion." Space erupted in hellfire as 3 dreadnoughts unleashed their fury. Plasma streams that had melted the defenses of 100 worlds converged on the asterisk Retribution asterisk, energy enough to boil oceans washing over its hull. When the light faded, the human ship hung in space completely undamaged. "Impossible," Vexitar repeated, but his voice had lost its certainty. Captain Vasquez's calm voice cut through his shock. "Our turn." What happened next shattered every assumption about human warfare. The asterisk Retribution asterisk didn't fire energy weapons or launch missiles. Instead, projectiles launched from its hull at velocities that registered as significant fractions of light speed. Solid matter accelerated to impossible speeds. The kinetic rounds struck Vexitar's flagship with the force of antimatter explosions. Shields designed to deflect energy beams proved useless against physical projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. Hull plates buckled. Atmosphere vented. Emergency klaxons screamed. "Shields at 40%, Thresh shouted. "Hull breaches on decks 5 through 12. They're using some kind of kinetic bombardment system." But the worst part wasn't the weapons. It was how the humans fought. No predictable formations, no rigid tactical doctrine. The 3 ships moved like predators, covering each other's flanks while exploiting weaknesses in Dominion battle patterns that Vexitar didn't even know existed. "Sir, they're not following any known combat protocols," Mirren reported, her voice tight with panic. "Our tactical computers can't predict their movements." The asterisk, Vengeance asterisk, and asterisk Reckoning. Asterisk flanked his formation, their weapons firing in patterns that made no sense until Vexitar realized they were herding his ships into a killing ground. Point defense systems overwhelmed. Targeting computers jammed. Communication networks dissolved into static chaos. "They've been studying us," the Admiral realized with dawning horror. "They know our tactics better than we do." As his second dreadnought exploded in brilliant fire, Admiral Vexitar understood that he had walked into a trap 50 years in the making, and Earth was no longer prey. Admiral Vexitar sat in his detention cell aboard the UES asterisk Retribution asterisk, staring at walls that hummed with energy patterns his instruments couldn't identify. The battle had ended 12 hours ago with his unconditional surrender. 2 dreadnoughts destroyed, his flagship crippled, and the myth of Dominion invincibility shattered forever. The cell door chimed. Captain Elena Vasquez entered carrying a data pad and wearing an expression that mixed professional courtesy with predatory satisfaction. Her augmented eyes, clearly enhanced with technology that shouldn't exist, studied him with uncomfortable intensity. "Captain," Vexitar managed, trying to maintain dignity in defeat. I assume you've come to discuss execution protocols. Elena pulled up a chair, her movement precise and economical. Actually, Admiral, I'm here to show you something your Empire needs to understand. She activated the data pad, projecting a holographic star chart that filled half the cell. Hundreds of systems glowed in different colors: red for Dominion control, blue for independent civilizations, green for worlds under conquest threat. 50 years of intelligence gathering, Elena explained calmly. We've been intercepting your communications, tracking your fleets, analyzing your tactics since your first probe entered our system. Vexitar studied the display with growing horror. The humans possessed detailed intelligence on Dominion fleet dispositions, tactical manuals, even personnel files of high command officers. The scope of their espionage network staggered him. How? He whispered. You stopped evolving, Admiral. Same tactics, same formations, same psychological warfare for centuries. It made studying you relatively simple. Elena's smile was winter cold. Every conquest followed identical patterns: arrive in force, demonstrate superiority, accept surrender. You became predictable. The hologram shifted, showing battle recordings from multiple angles. Vexitar watched his fleet's destruction with professional detachment, noting tactical details that had escaped him during the chaos. The humans hadn't just defeated his ships, they had dissected them with surgical precision. This is more than defeat, he realized. You've been learning everything about Dominion military capabilities. The recordings are quite popular with your enemies, Elena noted conversationally. Species your Empire has oppressed for centuries are suddenly very interested in human military technology. The display showed communication intercepts from across the galaxy. Dozens of civilizations transmitting alliance requests, sharing intelligence about Dominion weaknesses, coordinating resistance movements that have been dormant for generations. You've started a revolution, Vexitar breathed. We've offered hope, Elena corrected. For the first time in centuries, subjugated species have proof that the Dominion can be beaten. Real-time reports flooded the display, rebellions erupting across the galaxy as oppressed worlds rose against their overlords. The Vagan system had declared independence. Altarian colonies were in open revolt. Entire sectors were demanding Dominion withdrawal. What do you want from me? Vexitar asked finally. Elena leaned forward, her enhanced eyes reflecting starlight. Carry a message to your leaders. Earth is no longer a target for conquest. We're offering protection to any species threatened by Dominion expansion, and we're prepared to take this fight to your core worlds if necessary. 3 ships against the entire Dominion fleet? Elena's smile widened. Admiral, what you fought were our Asterisk training vessels. First-generation prototypes built while we were still learning to adapt your technology. She touched her datapad again. The hologram revealed construction facilities throughout the Sol system. Massive shipyards hidden in asteroid fields, production centers on distant moons, entire fleets of vessels that dwarfed even the behemoth ships that had destroyed his squadron. We've been busy, Elena said simply. Vexitar stared at hundreds of warships, each representing technology that exceeded anything in Dominion archives. Humanity hadn't built a defense force, they constructed an invasion armada. But our real advantage isn't ships, Elena continued. It's adaptability. You fight like your ancestors did 1,000 years ago. We innovate with every engagement. By the time your empire develops countermeasures for current tactics, we'll have evolved 3 generations beyond them. She stood to leave but turned back at the threshold. You have a choice, Admiral. Return to your leaders with our terms and negotiate peaceful resolution, or refuse and force us to deliver the message personally. What terms? Complete withdrawal from conquered territories, reparations for subjugated species, dismantling of military infrastructure. Elena's voice carried absolute conviction. In exchange, we won't hunt your fleets to extinction. And if I refuse to carry this message, then in 6 months human fleets will appear in your home systems. We'll liberate your recent conquests and work toward the core worlds. Your people can surrender gracefully now or be conquered by the primitives they underestimated. As the door sealed behind her, Vexitar realized that everything had changed. Outside his cell, humanity prepared for war on a galactic scale, and the age of Dominion supremacy was ending forever. The Dominion High Council chamber fell silent as Admiral Vexitar's testimony concluded. 12 of the galaxy's most powerful beings stared at holographic displays showing Earth's impossible war machine. Hundreds of vessels that represented technology decades beyond anything in their databases. Supreme Chancellor Mordok's crystalline form shifted through violent color spectrums. You're telling this council that a primitive world defeated 3 of our finest dreadnoughts? Not defeated, Chancellor. Dissected, analyzed, studied. Vexitar's voice carried the weight of bitter experience. They didn't just win. They learned everything about our military capabilities while doing it. Defense Minister Kralvin's tentacles writhed with agitation. Impossible. Our intelligence confirms humans achieved spaceflight less than a century ago. They should be millennia from developing such technology. Unless they had help, Military Advisor Rathnor suggested quietly, or unless they've been lying about their capabilities for decades. The holographic evidence was undeniable. Massive shipyards, advanced weapon systems, and most damning of all, real-time intelligence networks that had apparently monitored Dominion activities for half a century. The scope of human deception staggered even veteran strategists. Show them the rebellion reports, Vexitar commanded grimly. New displays materialized, showing uprisings across Dominion space. 17 systems had declared independence. Colonial governors screamed for reinforcements. Entire sectors were demanding immediate withdrawal of occupation forces. The Altarian Confederation has announced an alliance with Earth, Intelligence Director Vexina reported. They're offering their homeworld as a forward base for human operations. The Vegan Coalition is sharing detailed intelligence about our border defenses. Chancellor Mordok's form flashed angry crimson. How many worlds are in active rebellion? 43 and climbing, sir. Every species we've conquered in the last 2 centuries is suddenly coordinating resistance. They're using the human victory as proof that we can be defeated. The implications were staggering. The Dominion had built its empire on the assumption of inevitable technological superiority. Now that myth lay in ruins, destroyed by a species that had hidden its true capabilities until the perfect moment to strike. What are their demands? Mordok asked finally. Vexitar straightened, delivering the human ultimatum with military precision, complete withdrawal from all conquered territories, reparations for subjugated species, dismantling of our military infrastructure. In exchange, they promised not to hunt our fleets to extinction. The council chamber erupted in outraged protests. Defense Minister Kralvin's tentacles thrashed violently. Preposterous! We cannot negotiate with primitives. They're not primitives, Vexitar said quietly, his words cutting through the chaos. That's the mistake that cost me 2 dreadnoughts, and might cost us the Empire. Military Advisor Rathnor studied the tactical analyses with growing unease. Their ships moved in patterns our computers couldn't predict. They adapted to our tactics in real time, and their weapons, kinetic projectiles at relativistic speeds. Our shields are useless against such attacks. How many ships do they have? Chancellor Mordok demanded. Current estimates suggest over 400 vessels of battleship class or larger, Intelligence Director Vexina reported. And they're building more. Construction signatures indicate at least 6 major shipyards operating at maximum capacity. The numbers were terrifying. Even at full mobilization, the Dominion could field perhaps 300 capital ships, and those would be operating with tactics the humans had studied and prepared counters for. There's something else, Vexitar added reluctantly. Their captain mentioned that what I fought were training vessels, first-generation prototypes. Their current fleet is significantly more advanced. The silence that followed was deafening. The Dominion had built its power on military superiority. Now they faced an enemy that not only matched their technology, but had evolved beyond it while maintaining perfect strategic deception. What do you recommend, Admiral? Chancellor Mordock asked finally. Vexitar met the Supreme Chancellor's gaze steadily. Negotiate. These humans have been planning this confrontation for 50 years. Every tactical scenario has been war-gamed, every weakness exploited, every advantage neutralized. If we fight, we lose. And if we surrender, we survive. Our people survive. The alternative is watching human fleets systematically dismantle everything we've built over the last millennium. Chancellor Mordock's crystalline form cycled through the full spectrum, reflecting his internal struggle. Around the chamber, the most powerful beings in known space grappled with an impossible reality. They were no longer the apex predators. Very well, Mordock said finally. Admiral Vexitar, you will return to human space with our response. Tell them the Dominion accepts their terms. As the council session ended, Vexitar realized he was witnessing the birth of a new galactic order. The age of human expansion had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. In the depths of space, Earth's massive war fleets continued their patient vigil, waiting to see whether their message had been properly understood. They had offered the galaxy's greatest empire a choice between negotiation and extinction. The Dominion had chosen wisely.